Race will begin in 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and they have begun. Now it's just a matter of time to see when they actually start. On stream. There they go. So yeah, already I have to crop Xarnax. I knew that was gonna happen. Whoop. And so we've got an item right away here on both sides. It's a heart container. And Ryan gonna up an A. Xarnax gonna walk out. Let's see. Visual evidence of, is this faster? And the answer is yes. Look at him go. By about 2 seconds, Ryan is able to traverse the overworld here. Xarnax electing to walk north through the swamp. Ryan's gonna end up there on the road anyway. Another heart container. Really a very healthy seed. 2 heart containers to the good here. And Xarnax is going to get an extra encounter compared to Ryan too, so Ryan enjoying a very small early advantage here. And we've got a palace. It is Palace 2. So Palace 2 in the west. We've got another item here in Heart Container Cave. If it's a heart container, I'll just be impressed. And Xarnax getting an early magic level as well. Looks like Ryan's going to wait for attack 2. And we've got a magic container, so very good seed for sustainability, not necessarily good seeds for speed. But I am content with what we've got so far. So 3 items, we've got the grass tile, we've got heart container cave, and we have trophy cave. Really nothing of note so far. You've got the 1 up there for ryin7. And another palace over here lurking in the desert. Or was that start? That wasn't start, was it? I don't think it was. Interesting that he wouldn't take a look at that. And he's gonna take a death. And wow, Ryan finds Bagoo on the first forest tile he checks. Sometimes lucky. We've got 3 or 6 on the side for Xarnax. That's the palace that Ryan did not go into. And hey, look at that. 2 towns. Keep in mind, Ryan knows Bagoo. It doesn't matter, as Xarnax finds the river town of Saria. Maybe if Ryan's like, hey, you know what, I'm gonna go across the whole river here and see what's on the other side, and Xarnax turns around, we'll see. And actually Ryan going into Rauru first, so that's actually gonna work in his favor if he decides, you know what, let's see what's on the other side of Saria. And we're gonna be seeing our first spells of the game here. The town of Saria on Xarnax's side is going to yield us a Reflect right out of the gate. I do apologize, those Discord noises are not on my end, they are on Ryan's end. And look at that! Wow. 2 towns, Saria, Rauru, right next to each other, yielding Thunder and Reflect. What a seed, man. Don't need no spell items today. Alright, so both runners having Thunder and Reflect out of the gate. Thunder costing 86, they'll have to take a magic level at some point. They already have a container though, so almost a tri-state area here, as Xarnax finds a 3rd town. And Ryan, knowing Bagu, he's actually going to go across the river here. And we've got Ruto there for Xarnax. And another item, so this might end up, depending on what's in this cave, might be a bad idea for Ryan to take this bridge, but we'll see. Oh, yeah, okay. Great. Hello... Oh gosh, push to talks on. Almost there. Alright, we did it. Hello, Digshake.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going pretty well.
Looks like they are off to a pretty quick start here.
Yeah, Thunder and Reflect being in Rauru and Saria, right next to each other.
Yeah, never a bad thing to get those spells out of the way early. It looks like for items, though, they're not finding a whole lot of great stuff. So we were talking about this a little bit actually before the race, Nir. Do you have a favorite? Do you have somebody you think's got an edge?
So yeah, we actually did talk about this, and we actually had different opinions. I think Ryan's going to have the edge over Xarnax here. Xarnax hasn't been playing as much Randomizer as Ryan has, and Ryan's been steadily improving. Xarnax did do a race earlier where he swept the competition, so he's definitely got the potential to do well, but I feel like Ryan may be a little more consistent than Xarnax.
Yeah, I would agree with the consistency piece. Xarnax has been playing not much recently, but has been playing for a lot longer than Ryan has, so still has, I would say, an equivalent level of experience. I think it'll be a good match. I think it'll be a pretty even race, hopefully.
Yeah. So Ryan here was able to pick up the raft. I did not see what Xarnax got. I was getting set up for the commentary.
I think Xarnax also got the raft.
Okay, so the Rivertown gamble did not really pay off for Ryan at all then.
Oh, did we find Bagu already?
Yeah, so Ryan, the first forest tile he checked was Bagu, so he decided to go across the river, but looking like that it really didn't get him anywhere. Right down the road, so to speak.
It looks like Xarnax is checking these forest tiles now. Maybe just looking for some pea bags.
I'm not sure he actually went into the backside of Saria, so he might think that that is a way to progress. And he's gonna find Bagu here. That forest tile right there is Bagu, so should be interesting to see. So we're missing one palace in the west, and we're missing the raft tile. I don't think we've seen that yet either.
Which palaces do we have in the west so far?
We've got 2 and either 3 or 6.
Okay. Yeah, unless they find a spell item or the magic key in the last remaining item slot, I guess there's 2 remaining item slots. They're gonna have to go east pretty early here, it looks like.
Ryan stumbled on a teabag cave, and interestingly enough, looks like all of the 5 possible towns, the backside of Saria included in that, are within like the same screen of each other in this seed.
Quad state area, is that what we'd call that?
I guess depending on where you're standing, it might be just a little bit off screen, but that's what I would call it. Sounds good to me.
Quad cities, I think, is a thing.
And Ryan picking up the trophy in the P-Bag Cave here. So he's going to go immediately cash that in.
So it looks like just Magic Container Cave, the last one that we have to find.
And I did see to the north of Palace 2, looked like there was an entire section of Overworld that required a cave to get to, so maybe this cave Xarnax is in, the little Parappa Pass, will take him up there. Do you have an official name for this cave, Digshake?
I've heard it called Parappa Cave or Short Cave are the 2 that I hear the most. Not very exciting names, but accurate.
And that's going to lead Xarnax to the raft tile, and we have life in the town of Ruto.
Yeah, probably. Well, I mean, life is a great spell. Nobody's unhappy to see life, but in this case, it's not going to help progression at all, so. So that raft tile is still looking pretty tempting, in my opinion. I mean, I guess you could go into DM, but I don't think most runners would take that gamble this early on in a seed.
Then again, we have Xarnax, who going into DM early was a very beneficial thing he did in that previous race.
Yeah, that's true.
And we're going to see our final palace here on Xarnax's side, and we do have Palace 4, so 2, 4, and either 3 or 6 in the west. They do have Reflect, so if they had a way to get through doors, 4 might be an option.
Yeah, that's true. Extra keys are on, but man, there's just a lot of key doors in Palace 4. It's really annoying.
And Xarnax is traversing this northern side of the western continent. He's not really finding much of anything here. It looks like there's going to be a cave tucked away in the northwest that might actually be the final cave we're looking for, the Magic Container Cave. And
actually, Brian's found the Magic Container Cave.
Wow. So I think Xarnax is going to be stumbling upon Death Mountain here then. There we go.
Yeah, and he does check it out real quick.
Pea bag in Magic Container Cave.
Our first whammy, although not a bad find actually early on. If you're going to find that particular whammy, early is better.
Yeah, except when it's like a 50, and then you're just like, well, dang.
Yeah.
So, looking like the play is to go east here, for sure. We've had 2 heart containers, a magic container, a pea bag,
Man, it looks like
raft and
everything is in the south, though, right? Except for that one palace in the raft spot.
Yep, just about everything. All the caves in the north were just lead to each other, and then Death Mountain's also up here. So Xarnax is fed up with what he's found. Looks like he's headed for the raft tile.
Would you feel comfortable doing that without having found that last item cave?
I feel like I'm in the area. He might think, you know, maybe it's boot blocked, or you never know.
You do get a quick town on the other side, which is usually what you're hoping for when you take the raft, so... Oh, and it pays off.
Wow. It sure does. I don't know why I had Thunder marked as Kasuto. That's funny. So wow, Fairy, Thunder, Reflect, all readily available. So not a seed where you're looking for spells, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, they don't need any more. It'll be interesting to see if they still grind out some of the defensive spells like Shield or Jump. You got pretty good palaces over here too, I guess. You got Palace 1, you got, well, I guess 1, 3, and 5. Or either 3 or 6, I guess, and 5.
And Ryan actually electing to go into Palace 4. Doesn't have any keys. It's an interesting choice considering he does have the raft, so he could just go east. But maybe he hasn't seen the raft tile yet?
It's possible. It's definitely a gamble. Not just no keys, but also kind of low levels, and no downstab yet either, which just makes fighting that much more difficult.
So if you had gone east and then you immediately get Fairy, would you have turned around and done 2 and 4 in the west? And...
I personally hate Palace 4 without... I mean, I guess it depends on how expensive Fairy was. I didn't actually see the cost of it, but...
I didn't either. And wow, going into this palace, Ryan able to find the item but doesn't have a key for it.
I mean, I guess 2 is kind of tempting. Can possibly be glove blocked, but pretty low probability of that happening. I think Palace 1 and Maze Island would be more tempting for me. I'd probably do what Xarnax is doing and explore the east as much as possible.
And Ryan gonna give up on Palace 4 and continue looking around.
Oh, Xarnax dying with the fairy feet. Or the attempted fairy feet, anyway.
Yeah, and that's actually a game over for him, so he'll have to make his way back to the raft tile.
Looks like that's where Ryan's heading right now.
I don't think he's... Now he sees it. Like, I don't think until he entered that cave, I'm pretty sure he hadn't actually witnessed the location of the raft tile.
And we see Xarnax make a beeline for Mido. That's not surprising.
Always nice to have downstab in the east for sure. And Ryan's gonna discover the old town of Kasudo.
Looks like Fairy's about 3 bars at Magic 3, which is not bad. If he gets 1 more Magic Container, well, I guess he still won't be able to cast it twice.
Alright, so we are even on spells. Actually, no. Not quite yet, as Ryan turned in the trophy. Whereas Xarnax has not found the trophy yet, actually, so he has 2 caves left, I believe.
Yeah, the trophy and the P bag. Wonderful to see him go dig those out now.
I'm actually a little more surprised that he went east, missing 2 caves. Maybe 1 is one thing, but I feel like if you're missing 2, then that's just all the more chance that you missed a really easy glove, or you never know, a magic key.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a risk to go east early, but it is so tempting with all those 500 P bags laying around. You know, Palace 1's over there. You know, Maze Island is over there.
I don't know, I find myself of late, I seem to be clearing the west almost in its entirety before I even head east, but I guess it really depends on the seed, but it seems more often than not that's what I end up doing. And looking like Ryan gonna find a P-bag cave here, so...
Yeah, I don't think Xarnax found this cave either, did he?
Not that I saw.
Ryan taking a bop to the Liz Alphos there. You gotta let go of the D-pad when you try and jump over those guys to freeze them in place. I don't even know if it's possible to jump over them without letting go of the D-pad there. Very difficult, at least.
The double bop. And Ryan's on his last life here.
Interesting move, just decides to ferry right over this guy. Doesn't even want to mess with him, and wow.
That's a good pickup.
Decides to up A. I guess he was low on magic and on his last life maybe just decided he was probably going to game over anyway, so maybe going to 2?
Yep. 2 is what Xarnax decided to do. He did find the trophy, but he's still missing 1 more cave.
Or he knows where that item in 4 is. Maybe he's going back to 4?
Oh, that's very true. Now that he has a way to get through doors, wouldn't surprise me that he would just waltz right on back.
Is Reflect castable? That's another thing to note before heading into Palace 4. I forget that sometimes, and it's not pleasant.
Dead end for Xarnax here in Palace 2, so giving him a little bit of a run around here. He's actually going to elect to up an A and start from the beginning. And Ryan gonna pick up downstab. No, he has fairy.
Dripper report, we got orange iron knuckles for 70k, so not bad, but not super grindable either.
That's definitely nice. You know, if you happens to up an A and then the boss is like 2 screens in, which I think we already know isn't possible. It's a really good pickup for the experience. You can grind out the level, you know, kill like, what is it, about 7 of them, you'd be right about where it needs to be. And that wouldn't take too long, for sure.
Yeah, lately, maybe you know more about this than I do, Nirm, since you like to grind those drippers. I've been trying to figure out the drip pattern on those, because it seems like it varies quite a bit in terms of when it'll actually spawn one of those guys or not.
I haven't seen any rhyme or reason to it either. Sometimes I'm standing there like an idiot for like a minute, and then, you know, they'll drop 4 or 5 blue drops in a row. So really the only thing you have to make sure of is you don't have too many enemies spawn, so that when something actually drips, it doesn't just disappear. Not really sure
Pretty
what
good.
Ryan's looking for here.
Pretty good helmet head technique there from Xarnax. Didn't seem to have any trouble with it, so. Gonna be our first gem of the race.
And I'm sure you're happy about this one. No grinding for Xarnax.
Nope. Yeah, I wonder how much, your opponent plays into that strategy too. If you think that your opponent's not going to stop to grind, does that influence your decision to stop and grind up levels?
I think it all comes down to the comfort of your level of play, I suppose. Because I mean, if you struggle at lower levels, you're gonna want to grind regardless of who your opponent is, I feel.
Yeah, that's probably true. Back east for Ryan, not electing to go into either of those palaces. Xarnax didn't get the item in too, and he didn't go back to look for it either, so.
So Ryan able to use these boots, and looking like he's gonna get a free reign over the west side of the continent here, and a nice little river to walk on. And Xarnax digging out what we know to be a pea bag. It'll be his final cave item in the west here. Oh wait, I'm wrong.
I did see that Reflect is 64, so definitely castable, which is actually a really good Reflect cost at Magic 2.
Yeah, I wonder if Xarnax is going to head for Palace 4 here. He's got castable Reflect. Nothing really stopping him here.
And that item was pretty close to start, it looked like, when we saw Ryan go in there, so.
Yeah, we've got Palace 5 on Ryan's side.
Yeah, and he just noped right out of there. Not
Yeah.
surprised by that.
Palace 5 is one of those I save for either last or second to last. I guess it really depends on what my levels are, but you definitely don't want to go in there early.
And there's Valley of Death right there on Ryan's side. Looks like he might be trying to find Maze Island over here.
And so here we're back. Yeah, we're back at the item in 4 here. So we'll actually see what it is this time.
Got a hammer pickup.
Yep. It is hammer time for Xarnax. You think maybe he dumps into Death Mountain now?
That's a good question. I didn't see the rock when he was in there before. If the rock was easily accessible, then absolutely. But at this point, chasing after that item seems like a little bit of a gamble. There's our second whammy of the race on Ryan's side. Peabag Cave holding a Peabag, so he does get an attack level out of it.
We've got dead end number 1 for Xarnax here. He's looking for Carrick though.
So Ryan, I think once he gets out of this cave, has the water tile and a town pretty close by, so he's still got a couple of things coming up here. Ooh.
That's a good pickup there.
Very much so. So not finding the boots might prove costly here for Xarnax. We'll see.
We've got Naburu here as well, so Ryan's going to pick up another spell. Doesn't really need anything at this point, but obviously Shield would come in handy. If Fire's tied to Thunder, things might get real interesting really quickly here.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't wait till we see one of those races. And it is Fire, so
I think that's
place your bets.
The 3rd race in a row we've seen Fire in Firetown.
Was it Shield?
It's looking like Shield. It sure was.
and a Karok fight for Xarnax. So really a kind of interesting pass through this seed. Xarnax deciding to just go ahead and get these palaces knocked out, and Ryan doing a lot more overworld exploration.
Karok getting all up in Xarnax's face. We still have Desert Tile, we still have Maze Island items, we have Death Mountains items, and then Palace items in every palace but 4. And the glove is in one of those places. I hope.
Yeah, me too.
Palace 4 done here for Xarnax. He's got 2 of the 3 done in the west here. He's actually going to take a magic level. Go up to Magic 4, maybe thinking that'll reduce the cost of ferry, give him a little bit more access through dungeons. I don't know here. Interesting.
Yeah, that is an interesting leveling strat. I mean, maybe he falls into the other leveling camp. 2 basic strats, right? Where you just take whatever you get when you get it, or trying to save up for attack levels. Might depend on how taking Magic 4 affects his experience, how he levels up from here. If it's really expensive, then he might not have a choice but to just start taking whatever he can get.
And it looked like Xarnax was gonna traverse Death Mountain, but the backside of Death Mountain there, not providing any access, without boots at least. So it looks like he's actually going to go back east here, and hopefully he's able to pick up the boots that he missed last time here. We've got Ryan finding both a palace and the entrance to Valley of Death here, so he'll be able to get some good identification of the palaces here. We're still missing 1, either 3 or 6, and there's Great Palace outside of Valley of Death. Went on a nice little vacation.
Not a single encounter, wow. I thought there'd be
impressive.
At least 1.
I was expecting 1 or 2.
Decides to go into this palace, and just based on that first room there, this is Palace 6, so...
Yeah, we've got 3 in the west then. 2, 3, 4, and then 5 and 6, and GP in the east, which means 1 is on Maze Island.
A little risky going here into 6 because he does have the fairy spell, but doesn't have the glove yet, so could get glove blocked. Of course, the glove could be in 6 for all we know.
If the glove happens to be in 6 and Ryan does come across it, he's going to be significantly ahead in this race. And he does find a drop room here. That wasn't necessarily a glove block, that's just a room you drop into.
It's actually a good thing to see it there, because now you don't have to worry about falling into that hole and being blocked. Or even if you do, you're close to start, so just up A.
So Xarnax is not going to pick up fire? He's just going to leave? I guess he's got his triumvirate of spells. He's not going to waste time getting those useless pieces of junk.
So we are glove blocked in 6. Glove is definitely not in 6.
And Xarnax actually taking a game over to a random encounter with a blue Azalfos. So that's a little bit unfortunate there for him.
I think Ryan has really been searching around for Maze Island over here and hasn't found it. Based on what I've seen so far of the map, it's got to be kind of in that upper right corner, I believe.
Yeah, he's definitely walked a fair amount south when with the boots, so I'm not really sure. I think he might be looking for the desert tile, because he's checked 3 or 4 of them now, and none of them have yielded an item. So he's just gonna elect to traverse this cave here. Xarnax finally picking up his final item, overworld item in the west. That's not in Death Mountain here.
Yeah, he's gonna be a little disappointed.
And Ryan's gonna dip into 5.
Well, he's got the magic key, which makes 5 you know, a lot less scary. He's not going to be blocked by anything, but he still does have to take down Guma with attack 4.
I still feel like going into 5 with 0 gems and disadvantageous levels is maybe not the best call, but if Glove happens to be in here, then it's going to be a great call.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he was just hoping for a quick Guma and get it cleared and be done with it. I don't know. I guess you're always hoping for a quick Guma in 5. So would you still give Ryan the advantage here with the item benefits that he's got, even though Xarnax is 2 gems in?
Knowing that, I guess the locations of Magic Boots and Magic Key were basically readily available, it's just a matter of Xarnax needing to find them, and because Xarnax does have, you know, 2 palaces done to Ryan's 0, I feel like Xarnax has a little bit of a lead. We really need to see Ryan actually use what he has to his advantage here and start clearing out these palaces. I feel like that's...
Palace 2 and 4 were pretty quick, so at least Xarnax did them pretty quickly, so...
Xarnax actually going to dip into Palace 3 here. Maybe getting a little desperate for this glove. I feel like, is Palace 3 the palace that's most likely to be glove blocked? Or is that 6?
I think it would be 3. There are more glove blocks in 6, but there are fewer rooms in 3, so I think the odds of you getting blocked in 3 are probably a little greater. I actually don't believe we've seen the glove in either 3 or 6 yet in this tournament, though I'm almost certain we will by the time everything is said and done.
Yeah, most of the seeds I've done the commentary for have been really straightforward. So it's funny that both of these racers, you know, remarked about where the glove is in their file names, and lo and behold, the item they're looking for is the glove.
Ryan is clearly item hunting here in 5. He's been taking lefts instead of rights, so gambling on one of the trollier glove locations.
Taking a page out of the Angry Larry handbook here. You know, those things he says all the time but doesn't actually do.
I wasn't going to say anything, but you're not wrong.
Xarnax still hasn't found a block yet. He's been able to get through a pretty significant amount of Palace 3 here.
Yeah, and he's got a branch he can take as well if he does get blocked. Which he does.
And Ryan doesn't have enough magic to cast Fairy, so he's going to get blocked by that room for now. Xarnax is going to turn around and take this elevator downward.
Looks like even with that Magic 4 gamble that Xarnax did, he can still only cast Fairy once, so... it does find the item room.
Oh boy.
What do we think it's gonna be?
I'm gonna go for Kid.
Oh wow, near Psychic. Certainly not what Xarnax wanted to see there. Knowing that he's already got all the spells that he needs, and maybe even glove blocked from getting to Rebenak.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, knowing that there is a right that is glove blocked, for him to actually re-enter this palace, maybe a questionable decision. I might be wrong.
Ryan has been in Palace 5 for a very long time. He's explored a very large chunk of it. Has not found either the item or Guma. Ah, well.
I'm eating my words here.
Yeah. We got Rebo and the item room on Ryan's side, so some excitement happening.
Oh,
Oof.
man. 2 of one, half a dozen of the other.
So 2 disappointing items for these runners recently, although Xarnax taking a 3-gem lead now.
And being able to clear 3 without the glove is pretty remarkable. Is it in the logic to where you could clear 3, clear 6, clear GP all without glove? Is that a thing?
It's theoretically possible, sure. I think GP is the hardest one of all, though, with all the waffle rooms, and one of the drop rooms requires the glove to break through the blocks. So it's just extremely, extremely difficult to get through GP without the glove.
Actually, I think we know 6 is glove blocked, if I recall. So the dream is already dead.
Yeah, at least for this seed.
So right on the hunt for Guma here. A little bit disappointed with the item. It did take a lot of lefts to get there, so...
What's he doing?
I couldn't tell you.
He never did get through the ferry room here in 5, so I wonder if he might go back. Looks like he's grinding. Oh, Ryan.
Maybe he might be doing drippers for a jar, or maybe that's his thought. Oh, there was... Never mind. I thought Xarnax had found the desert tile, but it just looked like it. It was just a random encounter.
Well, Xarnax has the entire West Continent clear except for Death Mountain, so...
I would imagine with the hammer, Death Mountain has to look more and more enticing. Yeah, 2 items to pull out of there.
Yeah, if it comes down to, you know, Palace 5 versus Death Mountain, I would choose Death Mountain
And
every time.
Not to mention that neither of these runners have found Maze Island yet, and there's 2 items just chilling over there.
And Palace 1, we know, is sitting over there, too. It's the only one we haven't seen yet.
Well, Xarnax gonna cash in his kid from Palace 3 here.
What's left? Spell? Jump?
We've got a spell, jump, and shield.
Ryan taking a death. I wonder if that's to refill his magic so he can go do the ferry room up here.
And we've got upstab on Xarnax's side, so the dreaded room you see in GP won't be a factor for Xarnax, at least.
I think it's also interesting that Ryan has not taken life 4 yet, especially since he's potentially going up against Guma here pretty soon. Guma hits really hard. Although he's just found a dead end, so it does not pay off. He's determined, though.
Yeah, he's committed now. I think it's better to go through a palace when you have memory of it than to come back, 30 minutes later.
Of course, what inevitably happens is what we're seeing right now, possibly where you explore 3/4 of the palace and then Guma is like that 1 elevator down from start that you didn't check.
Yep. So the kid led to the spell, and if these runners find New Kasuto and that tower has a glove in it, it could possibly be that the kid in 3 is required to get the glove. We'll see. Another dead end for Ryan. He's struggling to find Guma here.
There can't be many rooms left for him to check. He was going left most places, so maybe he passed an elevator somewhere.
Got Xarnax feeling the full wrath of Dig Shake here. He's got all kinds of swamp to get through.
He's gonna go in and grab the boots. So while Ryan has been exploring every nook and cranny of Palace 5, Xarnax has been catching up, I think, on the exploration front a bit.
Yeah, Xarnax, up three gems to 0 here. Really only the magic key separating him item-wise. It's looking like he's in pretty good shape here. Oh my goodness.
Larry's favorite enemy in the game, those red polar bears. There's Maze Island. I guess we have the Kasuto items as well, which with these runners ignoring spells could be interesting if it's in that spell slot.
Well, Xarnax did pick up spell, so
oh yeah, he did.
He will
You're
definitely be checking. Item number 1 for Xarnax here.
That makes Kasuto even more tempting.
Sure does.
Did he even go in that town that was right by Maze Island? Was that?
Not to my knowledge. I think he just walked right past it.
I think that's gotta be Kasuto, unless it's a town we've already been to.
Wow, both items right next to each other for Xarnax, and it's a P bag. Whammy number 3. So Maze Island, not really yielding anything here, but Xarnax is going to find Palace 1, and he will duck right inside.
And if this isn't Guma on Ryan's side, then I have no idea where that Guma is, because he is darn near full clear Palace 5.
He's been in here for a good 15 minutes.
Yeah, there he is.
So Shield's going to help out Ryan a little bit here on this Guma fight. Looks like with Shield and full life bars, he'll be able to take maybe 2 hits.
Looks like he's going for cheese strats.
Yeah.
Which, you know, if you're doing cheese strats, then levels aren't as important, although cheese strats on Guma can still be a little tricky.
Xarnax trying to kill the blue iron knuckle for experience. Actually, Zombie links his way off the screen, and he's just gonna say, "Screw that guy, I'm out of here." And man, Guma seems to have quite a bit of health, especially at attack 4. It's gonna take Ryan a fair amount of time here.
Yeah, and if he makes one more mistake, then that's game over. So this is a pretty tense fight. Kind of seems to have found a groove, though. Okay.
Yeah, the cheese strats on Guma is something I can never really get to work with any level of consistency, so I just cross my fingers and pray most of the time.
Yeah. I think an important thing to remember about Guma is that I think body hits do less damage than that ball and chain that he's swinging around.
Meanwhile, Xarnax finding the item in Palace 1.
Another magic container.
Wow.
Oh, and Ryan pulling it out. Clutch Guma fight there from him. He's not going to have enough for the experience, though, and I don't think this is a bad move at all, just getting the heck out of Dodge.
So Ryan gets his first gem in Palace 5. Xarnax getting the item on a 1. He's going to be finding Horsehead sooner rather than later. And we're down to very limited places the glove could be here. We've got, don't think we found Desert Tile yet. We've got both spots in New Kasuto. And then we've got,
both spots in Death Mountain.
Death Mountain in 6, right? Like we've seen the items in all the other ones?
Yeah, but it can't be in 6 since 6 is glove locked. So.
Have we seen the item out of 2 yet?
Xarnax, yeah, Xarnax didn't get it. That's a good point. I don't know if he thought it was glove blocked. I didn't actually see the glove room when Xarnax was going through 2.
The old key 4 cycle for Xarnax there. Took more stabs than Horsehead did. And he's gonna regain that 3 gem lead.
Yeah, it's a pretty commanding lead by Xarnax, I'd say. Ryan still has a slight item advantage, but his exploration advantage is pretty much gone.
Yeah, I would almost say Xarnax has more of an exploration advantage at this point, just because he's checked Maze Island, and has a little more leverage with the hammer. He's able to, you know, go to Death Mountains if he were to choose to do that. So, yeah.
Well, there's the Desert Tile.
Oh man.
So, where is Kasuto, I think, is probably the question on Xarnax's mind right now.
That town has to be something we've already seen if they were to run past it twice like that.
Yeah, and if that's the case, I mean, is Kasuto in a valley somewhere, or...?
We've seen a lot of the overworld. I do recall when Ryan was walking south, right off the raft tile, there seemed to be like a little middle section he passed by just to get to that river and further south. So I wonder if it's in that little middle section. And
no, that is... Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I mean, it is Kasuto, so I don't know why Xarnax didn't pop in there. Maybe he thought it was Darunia or some other town that he'd already been to, but it's definitely Kasuto.
And the old lady does take 6 jars.
Which Xarnax has. Now, Ryan does not have the spell, I don't think, so...
Yeah, so Xarnax able to pull both new Kasuto items. Ryan can get 0, and we don't know what this spell is here, but we know it's not spell.
Got jump. Interesting that Xarnax didn't go into Kasuto. That could prove to be a costly decision.
He has to think it's something else at this point, I would imagine.
Does get that magic key. Maybe Xarnax was just thinking he's good on spells, so he doesn't need to visit towns anymore. I don't know. Doesn't pop into that one either.
Yeah, that's got to be the case then.
Oh, there he goes. Was one of the items in Maze Island was a magic jar? Is that correct?
Yes. The kid location was a magic jar.
So Ryan is gonna grab that here pretty soon, and then could get at least one item from Kasuto.
That's true. I also anticipate Ryan's probably going to clear Palace 1 before going back to check. But we'll see. I do believe it was this item right here is the jar.
And so what's Xarnax looking for? He's probably looking for, gosh, I'm not even sure what he's looking for. He finds Great Palace. You think he's going to try and go into 6 and explore like Ryan did?
Given that he went into 3, I would assume he's just gonna head right into 6. And Ryan going into Palace 1 here should make pretty short work of it. And Xarnax gonna head into 6, gonna find out that he is completely glove blocked in here.
Yeah, it won't take him very long either. I guess he hasn't found 5 yet, so probably... I wonder if we'll see him hunt for the item 5 since he doesn't have the glove like Ryan did. If you're Ryan, that's kind of what you gotta hope for, right?
Yeah, I would assume. Yeah, running out of locations, seems really averse to doing Death Mountain, so going into 5 and pulling the item out, definitely on the radar for Xarnax for sure.
Well, if he does, that would be a time for Ryan to start catching up here and taking care of some of these palaces that Xarnax has already finished. Again, Xarnax did finish 2, 4, and 3 on the other continent, and it did not take him a terribly long time to do so. So, still a chance for Ryan to get back in this race.
So Xarnax has finally discovered he is completely blocked. He's going to head out on a 6. And I guess he's probably going to look for 5. If he's not electing to up an A and go back to the west, he still has the items to pull out of 2. We know he still has the items in New Kasuto as well, so maybe he'll be looking for that now? Hard to tell. Xarnax's play has definitely been a little bit unpredictable, to say the least.
Well, 5's right there, so let's see what he does. He just walked right past it. Not interested.
He's got to be looking for New Kasuto, and maybe he just doesn't realize that that town is New Kasuto.
Yeah, I think you're right.
We've got Ryan picking up the magic container in 1 here, up to 7.
Xarnax's leveling strategy does seem to be just take whatever you get when you get it. Which, I mean, is a perfectly valid strat. It works really well if you're accustomed to low attack level combat, as it seems that he is. So,
Horsehead down and 4 hits for Ryan.
yep, that'll close the gem gap at least a little bit. Xarnax still wants nothing to do with Palace 5. He is losing a fair bit of time though with this exploration that he's doing.
And that's actually going to be a game over for him, right? No, never mind. He up and ate in Great Palace. That's right. Might have actually been beneficial had that been a game over. And we're going to see the magic container item out of New Kasuto here for Ryan.
Heart container.
Wow.
So, looks like Ryan's going to go back and maybe try those other palaces that we saw Xarnax do. I think Xarnax is probably still pretty safely in the lead. However, if the spell item turns out to be the glove, that would be a pretty big win for Xarnax there. If the glove happens to be in Palace 2, though, I think that would work in Ryan's favor at this point. And then, of course, if it's in Death Mountain, who knows what the heck's going to happen.
Yeah, I feel like Xarnax has the advantage in every scenario except the glove being in Palace 2, because he would have to go back for that. And Xarnax finally going to discover that, hey, that town you walked past was New Kasuto, probably kicking himself a little bit here.
Yeah, so we're going to have some answers to this seed here in just a few minutes, it looks like, since Ryan's in 2 right now as well.
Alright, so place your bets. Glove in 2, glove in Spell Tower, or glove on Death Mountain. Dave says glove in 2.
I think that's the option that would probably make for a more even matchup. Oh, well. Got the cross.
Tell you what, had that been the glove, it would have been really interesting, because you would have had to go into 3 to get the spell item, to get spell, to get the item out of there, which, had that been the glove, that would have been a heck of a string of things to do there.
Yeah, that's true. But we know now that it's in either 2 or Death Mountain, though the runners don't know that it's in one of those 2 spots. I guess Xarnax actually probably knows that it's in one of those 2 spots, because he's found just about everything else, huh?
Yeah, the only thing Xarnax is missing is the item in Palace 5, which, you know, he saw he was avoiding like the plague, so I'm wondering if he's going to head back to 5 now. Maybe not realizing the item in 2.
Well, there was the glove block in 2, so I guess it may be still possible that the item actually is behind that glove block.
And Xarnax says, nope, I'm not going into 5. It's time to do either 2 or Death Mountain here.
So the hammer was the item that was found in 4, is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. Hammer was in 4.
So Ryan cannot get that item yet. Cannot get the rock item on Death Mountain yet until he does that. I think we'll see him do that pretty soon, though.
And we've seen a lot of Palace 2. I can't help but wonder if the item in here is actually glove blocked.
I'm actually thinking that that's probably the case. Yeah, I think... What? So we know Helmet Head's accessible. We saw Xarnax take him out.
Yep. So Xarnax has to be going for Death Mountain here.
Yeah, it definitely looks like it.
But looks like he's not quite sure where it was. If I recall, it was in the furthest northwest cave possible, in the west here, so he's got a little bit of trekking to do.
Yeah, one of the entrances was completely useless.
Well, Xarnax is going back into 2.
Interesting. Here is the item actually in 2. Oh.
Oh my goodness.
Well, we're going to Death Mountain, ladies and gentlemen.
We sure are. I guess the only question now is, do you need the hammer out of 4 to get the glove? Or is it readily available?
If you're Ryan, I feel like you probably still just want to go to 4 anyway. You know where the item is, and it's pretty quick.
Oh, that's true. He saw the room.
Yeah, so I bet he'll go to 4 first anyway to get that item out. Whether that triggers him to go to Death Mountain or not will be interesting to see. I guess his only other option would be to find the spell item, which seems, I think, probably a less attractive item considering you gotta find the kid or something to get it.
Yeah, so all we know that Xarnax is essentially just wasting time looking for the item here in 2. He doesn't know that, but definitely going to be disappointed when he does get to the item and finds that it's the final magic container. So really, what Ryan needs to do here, if he wants to catch up to Xarnax, is go straight into 4. So hopefully that is the call that he makes here.
And then hopefully into Death Mountain right after that. The gem leads down to 1, I believe, right?
Oh, yes, it is.
So what looked like a massive lead for Xarnax is, I think, shrinking a bit, although I'd still probably give Xarnax a slight lead here just because he has more information than Ryan does. And that hammer, actually.
Yeah, the hammer's a big one, but I don't know if Ryan is going to be adventurous enough to dive into 3 before Death Mountain like Xarnax was, so could be interesting to see there.
We know that doesn't really matter, but he doesn't know that.
True.
Eon asking if Xarnax goes to 5 or Death Mountain. Just based on what we've seen, I would be very surprised if he went to Death Mountain after this.
If he didn't go to Death Mountain?
Or, I'm sorry, I said the exact wrong thing. I would be very surprised if he went to Palace 5 after this. I expect him to make a beeline towards Death Mountain.
So there it is for Xarnax, the jar of disappointment, and he's going to be trying to get back to Death Mountain here. Meanwhile, Ryan entering Palace 4, which we know has the hammer. And he's been in here before.
Death Mountain is such a wild card. I've seen people just go in and directly find what they're looking for, and then other people wander around for half an hour and just get hopelessly lost. So
I've done both for sure. Xarnax now has the boots. Can he walk? No, he can't. So he still has to find the other side of Death Mountain here.
Yeah, that's the useless one.
Wasn't sure if maybe there was one tile of water there, but nope. So Xarnax is looking for Death Mountain here. Not gonna turn around and go do 5. It's really interesting the risks that these runners have taken. Ryan doing 5 early in hopes that the glove was in there. Xarnax going into a gloveless 3. So both runners taking significant risks and really not paying off for either of them.
Yeah. That's absolutely true.
And here we are, Death Mountain, home of the glove. In some way, shape, or form, we know.
Kind of want to find the rock first because then you don't have to backtrack all the way out of Hammer Cave, but
it is looking like the boots are going to provide a little bit more access to Death Mountain than had he been in here an hour ago. Still not seeing the rock though. Oh yes, thank you, Eon. Ryan did pick up the hammer. And Karok on Ryan's side here, so the gem lead's going to be down to 1, but Xarnax has figured out the glove is in Death Mountain. Could get really interesting if Ryan decides, hey, I'm going to go do Death Mountain now that I have the hammer.
Yeah, that would be very interesting, because then it would be Palaces 3 and 6 for Ryan, and then Palaces 5 and 6 for Xarnax, which 3 and 6, I think most people would prefer over 5 and 6 any day. But
yeah, for sure.
Still a lot that could happen.
Somebody
could get hopelessly lost in Death Mountain.
Yeah, it's definitely giving Xarnax a run around here. He hasn't seen the Hammer Cave or the Spectacle Rock yet, so
let's see what Ryan does. This is the bad entrance. And it looks like he did want to go in, but he can't. Does he remember where the good entrance is?
I'm not sure he's actually seen it yet, come to think of it.
Here's Hammer Cave.
So
Ryan's
yeah, he's looking
around. Yeah. I was not paying super close attention to Xarnax to see how he actually got to Hammer Cave.
It definitely took him a fair amount of caves to get there. I know that much.
Yeah, it could still be the rock for all we know.
Yep.
Oh, Ryan deciding to up A. I think he was actually right by the cave that he was looking for.
He was indeed. He wasn't more than, half a screen away, but that's a little unfortunate. Moment of truth here. Are all of Xarnax's troubles over?
Nope.
Nope.
Okay, so we see Ryan going to 3, actually, which is not horrible. Because we know that 3 is beatable. We know that 3 is a very short palace. But we also know it doesn't have the glove.
And it looks like Xarnax is going to backtrack his way out of here. I'm not going to just rage quit and go into 5. Which is in his favor for sure. And we now know that the glove has to be in Spectacle Rock. And a very, very quick Rebo find for Ryan here. So he's actually going to take a gem lead at this point.
Yeah, although, man, well, he's not placing that gem. He wants to get some XP first, it looks like.
I think he's going to dig out the item, actually.
Yeah, he definitely will try. Although if he gets enough to get over the threshold, we might see him go back and place that gem first. I don't know.
And still no Spectacle Rock for Xarnax here. Wonder if it's off in like its own little area, that one little small entrance.
There it is right there. You can actually get there with the boots.
He's sure he's happy to see that.
So there it is. Took a lot of searching, but the glove has been located. I actually think this is a pretty darn close race here. I guess I'd give Xarnax just a slight lead because he does have that glove. Ryan's got to go fish that out, but it's not a huge lead.
It certainly isn't, and if Ryan does find Death Mountain entrance and is able to get to those items relatively quickly, from what we saw at Palace 5, Ryan was digging for the item, but it was a heck of a... It seemed like a heck of a Palace 5. So depending on how long it takes him...
And 6 is still just completely unknown as well.
And then...
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Does he have enough? Oh, he cast jump. That's actually pretty smart. I don't know if he had enough for Fairy or not. It looked like it would have been close.
We have Xarnax in 5, so we will have a quantitative view of who is ahead of whom after Xarnax finishes his palace.
Yeah, unfortunately for Ryan, you know, deciding not to place that gem right away, he now has to walk back. I assume he's not going to want to lose that XP, so he has to walk back.
And this also leads to the question, hey, the kid leads to some kind of spell. What if that spell is spell? And we know that it is, but we also know that doesn't lead to anything. So Ryan might go off on a wild goose chase that doesn't lead to anywhere here.
Yeah, that's absolutely possible. I'm betting Xarnax is going to find Guma relatively quickly here. I think if you follow the standard meta, that Guma's kind of deep, but he's not like off on a weird path somewhere, as far as I can tell.
It is going to be a second attack for Guma, though, so we'll see how Xarnax fares with that.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to have any trouble with that at all, actually.
And there's the gem placement for Ryan, so enjoying a 1 gem advantage, but Xarnax has the glove and is steamrolling his way through 5 here. Whereas Ryan still has a couple of choices to make, and if he makes the right choice, it's going to be pretty close, but...
Yeah, let's see what he does. This is going to make or break the race for him. Oh, he's going to go spell hunting, huh?
Turn in the medicine here. I don't actually know what... I guess by default it has to be shield, because that's the only one we haven't seen.
Well, if that's the mindset that he's in, that's not going to work in his favor, unfortunately. Whereas I think Guma is just right on the next screen here for Xarnax.
And Xarnax is also right next to Palace 6 as well, so it won't be but a small little trip before he gets in there. Xarnax going ham on Guma here.
Yeah, he fights Guma very aggressively. Maybe more aggressively than most other runners.
He is down to 1 life, so he's got to be a little careful with this fight here. Otherwise, he's going to have to make that long trek back to Guma here. And Xarnax has been dodging spells, so one more hit and he's going to take a game over here. He doesn't have life, doesn't have shield.
Yeah, he's doing safety strats now. Wow, manages to get inside of Guma's hitbox anyway. He is not slowing down even with the health situation.
It does
I
look
see
like
Ryan.
Yeah, he's looking for Death Mountain.
Yeah, he's ducking into caves. Oh, Xarnax.
That is a really unfortunate game over, because it's not even that the path is hard to figure out. It's just so many screens in.
Yeah, and he was really close too. He must have only had a couple hits left. And looks like Ryan's heading to the raft spot. We know that's bad news.
Oh no. Well, he does know, at least know... Does he know where Darunia is, actually?
I don't think so. He doesn't have upstab. It's right there though, and he's gonna find the spell. I guess the good news is that Kasuto's not too far away. This seems like a gamble though, with all the. I mean, it's basically a fetch quest, right? To turn in the kid to get the spell, to get the item, versus going into Death Mountain and finding 2 items. I would call that a slight gamble.
Gamblin's been the name of both of these runners' MOs, though, so I guess not all that surprising. I do believe Ryan picked up shield as well.
I think Ryan's probably got them all.
Actually, you're probably right, because he did go into New Kasuto earlier. So if Great Palace happens to be particularly long and challenging, Ryan's going to have all the spells at his disposal, whereas Xarnax is going to have to go through with the basics.
Yeah, if it were long GP or the other enemy set, that would be a much bigger factor. But with this enemy set and the short GP, I don't think Xarnax is too concerned about that.
Oh yeah, Riku brings up a good point. When Ryan found... No, he did have the containers, because when he got out of Maze Island, he checked. And we've got round 2 for Xarnax here. He's going to take the life refill. He's got 2 lives to work with this time, so shouldn't be too bad for him.
Taking a couple quick bops, though.
Yeah, bummer.
You think we'll see him slow down?
Well, he hasn't shown any signs of slowing down yet, so I don't see why he'd change now.
Yeah, he's being pretty stubborn. Well.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. He's leaving.
Wow.
Do you think he's on tilt a little bit?
I think he maybe thinks he'll get a level from 6 and then come back.
Yeah, that's a good point. Ryan picked up the cross and not sure what he's doing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing left, right? He's got everything else.
He went in this. Was it Xarnax that went into 6, or was it Ryan?
They both did.
They both did.
So he's got everything else. Maybe he thinks the raft spot's faster than. Oh, did he skip an item on Maze Island?
Oh yeah, he never found the pea bag.
So, a couple of disappointments there for him.
This has been a seed of disappointments for sure.
Well, it doesn't look like he's going to Maze Island either, though.
Maybe he never found Desert Tile?
I'm pretty sure that he did.
I know one of them had found it, but it seems like what he's going for.
He's got a tracker on his screen, although it's pretty small. I can't really read what it says. Maybe he's just wandering around in frustration. I don't know. Wow. Super fast Barba. So 6 is not going to be slowing either of these runners down.
Yeah, it looks like Ryan has everything marked except for Death Mountain, so I don't really know what he's looking for here. It's gotta be Palace 6. And we already know. I feel like he already knows that it's glove blocked.
Yeah, he was in there before, unless he thinks that he missed a path or something, but he definitely did not. Does look like that's where he's going.
It's really interesting to see both of these runners shying away so heavily from Death Mountain.
Yeah, he's going back into 6.
Oh boy.
Maybe he just didn't remember that he checked this already. I don't know.
I mean, maybe he thinks he missed something.
And there's the up A.
Meanwhile, Xarnax making quick work of Barba here. He's gonna even up the gem lead, and he has a beeline for Guma as well. So Xarnax is gonna be enjoying a pretty significant lead here.
Yeah, I thought that with the 2 game overs to Guma, it was going to let Ryan back into this thing, but that other Death Mountain entrance is just really frustrating him.
And we got round 3 for Xarnax here. 1 attack level to the greater good now.
Yep. And it should make a pretty big difference, actually. The jump between 4 and 5 is not insignificant. Oh man, I've been in Ryan's position before where you just can't find that one thing that you need and it does not feel good.
Yep. You sit there running around in circles, start rechecking things you've already checked twice, 3 times. It's just, it's a bad feeling. Yeah, he has no idea where this entrance to Death Mountain is.
Well, and just to see him earlier in the race standing half a screen below where it was too when he decided to up A.
It's rough for sure.
Who knew that that decision was probably... I mean, he could have still been in this race, actually.
Hey, hindsight's 20/20.
Yeah, it sure is. It's easy to sit here in the commentator's booth and say what people should be doing. It's a lot different when you're playing the game.
And you know, both of these runners are probably like, oh man, I found gloves so late. It was on Death Mountain the whole time. You know, so they're both probably thinking, you know, the other guy's got to be way ahead of me.
I mean, if I'm Xarnax, I'm really upset about those 2 Guma game overs.
Well, he's going to get his revenge right here. Hopefully.
Still just as aggressive as ever.
Yeah, maybe going a little ham because he came in here with only 3 life bars. But he's got 2 lives to work with, so that death right there, not the biggest deal in the world.
I do like the aggressive Guma fight, though.
Oh, man.
Yeah, a couple close calls there. Well.
Oh, boy, Xarnax. He might have to slow it down a little bit. He's kind of getting beat up.
I don't think he knows how.
I guess not. And Ryan finally going to find Death Mountain here.
Yeah, he's going to be kicking himself for sure.
And he's got a bit of Death Mountain exploration to do before He figures out exactly where the glove is, and Xarnax down to 1 hit again. Oh boy, Xarnax. Game over. Oof. Number 3.
And it takes, I mean, what, 4 minutes for him to get back there?
Yeah, it's definitely a significant amount of time.
So, you know, whoever ends up taking this race, which I actually think is still somewhat up in the air, we'll definitely know what to point at, what to practice for next time for these runners here. It's been very fun to watch, though. I think, you know, you could even argue that the lead has switched hands a couple times just based on who's found what when and the exploration. The
decision making has really played a huge factor in this for both runners. And I would say Xarnax has enjoyed the advantage for most of the race, but there was a small point of time where Ryan did have more gems placed, but electing to cash in spell.
Making the wise move of exploring all the boots first, and he's going to find that rock a lot faster than Xarnax did.
Yes, he is. He doesn't have to get the disappointment of the cave either. And there it is.
Yeah. Barba was very, very close to the entrance of Palace 6 there. So, I mean, this is... I think Xarnax still has the lead, undoubtedly, but it's not a big one.
And Xarnax really needs to prove that he can actually beat Guma here. Like, we're on round 4 now.
Yeah, and if he takes another game over to Guma, then that lead might be gone.
And, you know, this is still either... Like, Ryan can definitely come back and win this, even if Xarnax does kill Guma here. Somebody goes a different direction in Great Palace, and it happens to be the right way.
Yeah, we get one of those trolley 50-50 drops or something. Round 4. How much do you think the tilt is getting to him at this point? You gotta imagine that he is not happy.
Yeah, he's got to be probably tilted a full 360 degrees around by about now. And he is still going for him, and he's already down to his last life. Again. Meanwhile, Ryan steadily trucking along, gonna make his way up the Valley of Death and into Palace 6. Now, another game over here, and you might argue that Ryan might take the lead.
Yeah, I think I would say that. Oh.
Man.
Oh my goodness.
We are Palace entrance for Palace entrance now. 1 gem left on each side. Xarnax against Guma, round 5. And Ryan has not seen any of this Palace yet. So he'll have some exploration to do. We know Xarnax got through Palace 6 very quickly, but that doesn't necessarily mean Ryan will.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that Xarnax got through it quickly kind of indicates that standard meta is going to do you pretty well. Whoops.
I don't think falling in the lava is standard meta.
It's above your level.
Ah, I see. Like... I see. I'll have to practice more.
Oh.
Oh. Clearly, I don't understand the high-level play that's going on here. Poor Ryan. All right, round 2.
Oh, wow, some fancy combat work there by Ryan. See him taking it a little easier across those jumps this time.
Yeah, I mean, when you fall in lava twice, I guess you kind of have to.
Oh, is he going to jump over the hole? I don't know. Well, he tried. I actually think this is probably the right way to go.
Yeah, you know, dropping down. I guess he knows that one drop room was in the bottom half of the elevator there, but there's so many right options out of drops that you really want to take those first. At least I feel.
Well, maybe it wasn't, though, because that's the item. He definitely doesn't care about that. He's going to take another drop. I was not watching Xarnax closely through Palace 6. I just know that he found Barba very quickly. Just enough for Fairy. Yeah, there he is. So we got some dual boss fight action going on here, and man, this is a really close race.
It's evened up pretty significantly here.
Oof.
Oh, bummer.
One hit away.
Xarnax down to his last life again. Do you think he'll hit a point where he'll eventually go out and try and find shield or life?
I don't know. That's a good question. I think before that, I would just expect him to just do safe strats, you know? Like, there is a safe way to fight Guma. You don't have to be as aggressive on him as Xarnax is being, but it might just be a matter of principle at this point, you know?
Could be. And Ryan is done with Barba, so he's actually going to slide into the lead here.
Yep. He should be the first into GP.
And Xarnax is slowing it down here. And there's Guma down, finally. And actually,
So
the leveling from Ryan here, Xarnax might actually beat him into GP here.
I mean, it's going to be really close. We got ourselves a really good race. He's thinking long and hard about how he wants to do these levels, isn't he?
He sure is, and it's costing him.
Go! Decides to...
They're going to be entering GP within, like, milliseconds of each other.
He's going to go grind 80 points, though, for this last life
Why
level.
would you not just do it in GP? I guess he wants to up an A, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't take that much time. Well, what? And then he takes magic.
I think that was just a mistake. He got excited. Yep.
Well, leveling-wise, Ryan has much higher attack, so he's going to have a faster T-Bird fight, most likely. Both have life 6, so no advantage there. Xarnax has higher magic, but he doesn't have the spells, so he doesn't have a lot of stuff to cast, really, so...
Yeah, so Xarnax enjoying essentially what is just a one-screen lead at this point. Maybe a couple screens after this waffle room. And it shouldn't... This is a really close race.
Yeah, this is exciting. See how trolly this GP turns out to be. Well, maybe not so trolly.
Yeah, you know, there was an elevator to the north there. The entirety of Great Palace might be up there. Dark Link could very well be on the next screen.
Yeah, that was just standard meta that Xarnax used to get there, so...
So hopefully the T-Bird fight for Xarnax isn't too bad. Looks like he's one hit away from dying here. You know, to be a little bit careful. And look, Ryan's gonna have to take a death anyway to cast Thunder.
Yeah, but... Oh, wow.
Oh my goodness.
Well, it doesn't get any better than this, folks. Two racers fighting T-Bird at the same time.
And Ryan's got the advantage of attack 7 here to Xarnax's attack 5.
And shield and reflect as well, I think.
Oh yeah. I'm not sure Ryan's really taking it easy.
Maybe he's not super comfortable with the T-Bird fight, I don't know. He might have some nerves going too.
Yeah, definitely. I would say at this point, but with shield, he's gonna have a little bit of luxury, but he's taking a couple fireballs to the face. Xarnax 1 hit away, and there's T-Bird down for Xarnax.
Oh my goodness.
Oh man.
Wow. What a race. Wow. I'm speechless.
And there it is, Xarnax defeating Dark Link as Ryan arrives on the fight. Xarnax's final SRL time, 1 hour, 36 minutes, and 38 seconds. And Ryan literally right behind.
What a race. Just an unbelievable race.
Ryan's final time, 1:37 flat, so that's 22-second difference at the end of the day. Holy moly.
Yeah, you got to be feeling a little upset about that if you're ryin7. I feel bad for the guy because he had a really good run there. If he had found Death Mountain even just a little bit sooner.
Yeah, I'm sure both of these runners have a lot of what ifs going through their brain right now.
Yeah, no kidding. Xarnax is probably thinking he's lucky he got away with that one. With the Guma scenario there. Let's see if we can get him in here, and I bet they've got some really interesting things to say.
Whew, man, that was a nail biter.
Yeah, that was a great race.
That was our next one offline. Am I going to see Ryan's notes? I can just hide these though. Alright, well, while we try and wrangle him in here, let's take a look at what's coming up for future races. I believe there's one at midnight tonight that's going to be between some fella by the name of Digshake. I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
And Jackamus. Digshake and Jackamus. Jackamus is definitely... I haven't seen him playing Randomizer too much lately, but in the last tournament he was putting up some solid times, and I'm pretty sure he's probably still going to do so. So that should be a good one.
Jack's one of those guys who it doesn't really matter how long he's been away. He can pick up that game and be really good at it. So.
Yep. So that one's at midnight tonight, and then at 1:30 East in the morning, I guess Saturday morning Eastern time, following the Digshake Jackamus race, we have Link Sevens against Choke Me I Like It. That should also be a good one because Link Sevens, I haven't really seen him playing too much Z2 Randomizer, and Choke's been playing a lot, so that one's probably going to end up being pretty even as well.
Yeah.
And then Saturday, there's a whole slew of races across all kinds of channels. So if you follow Zelda 2 on Twitch, you're bound to see where all the races are going to be. We've got Enchantress of Numbers and Kingdoll at 10 in the morning Eastern Time. We've got Kool-Aid and Buzz Thunder. That's going to be at 1 p.m. That's on Angry Larry's channel. We got myself and Vonky. That's going to be on Dark Magician at 2 p.m. tomorrow. Riku and Countess at I believe that's 4 p.m. Eastern Time. That's on Genos' channel. Press and Dr. J at 7 p.m. on Genos. Simple and Rose City Saint, that should be another good one. That's going to be at 10 p.m. on Genos. And then we got Sleepy Mario and Scorpion Max on Sunday at 2 in the morning Eastern Time. No scheduled restream for that one, but we do have the fabled and heralded winner of our race today, Xarnax, joining us in Discord. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
We enjoyed a very, very exciting race right there.
Yeah, man. I was worried. I was really worried.
Yeah,
I found out couple seconds later that I had every right to be.
I have a feeling that you probably know what what to ask you about. Do you have any comments you'd like to make?
Yeah, I mean it's really a tough call on what the right decision is. If you go in with the mindset that every time you get to Guma, you have a good chance to beat him. Just because I was fighting him, next fight was going to go poorly, and if I beat him the next try, then that's my fastest route.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing is just the fact that it's fun, and I'm stubborn.
We definitely saw that. I actually love how aggressively you fight Guma. I cannot. Well, I could, but it wouldn't end well. So I was impressed with your resolve there to fight Guma your way, make him die in the way that you wanted him to. Did you ever, at any point, did it cross your mind like, maybe I should just slow down here a little bit and do safe strats or something?
Yeah, and like, I don't know. I guess the mindset change is to like they're in the middle of a fight. I'd think like, okay, I need to play it safer, and then like the thing is when you can only take like 2 hits. Doom is such a weird fight because like a lot of times when you go in to hit him, like the timing can be really tight. So like if you're going in and you're expecting to hit him and he either backs up and you miss, or you somehow land and accidentally turn the other way, or like turn before you stab him and don't knock him back. Little things like that can cause you to get hit when you're not expecting to, and change the color of that fight really quickly.
The other story I think of this seed was the glove location there on Death Mountain. Yeah. We noticed you hovering outside of 5. Didn't even step foot in it for a very long time. Is that just your standard progression? Avoid 5 at all costs unless you absolutely have to go and dig that item out?
It depends. If I had gotten 1 item out of Death Mountain already, then I probably would have done 5 first. But since I knew there were 2 items there, and I already had the hammer, it seems to make more sense. Well, there was that. There was also the fact that there were, I guess, like 4 items, I think, in the west that I hadn't gotten total. And I knew where all those locations were. I knew I'd cleared most of 2, so I knew that was going to be quick to get the item out of there. And so it just seemed like, and I think another part of it, I don't remember where I was when I up-A'd, but it would have been a bit of a walk to get back to 5. And so I was like, I can go restart from North Palace, go through 2, go through Death Mountain, have at least 3 more items. There might have been 1 more I was missing. And then if the glove's not there, I don't need to go back to the west.
That makes sense, yeah.
So at what point do you does Death Mountain start running through your mind? Because the hammer, I believe, was in 4 in the west, but you immediately decided, I'm going to keep going east. Did you have any thought about going to Death Mountain then?
No. Mostly because I had one, I didn't have downstab at the time. I don't think. And what was the other thing? Oh, I kept expecting like, I was waiting for the magic level that would let me cast Thunder, and then I knew I'd be able to, like, if it had come sooner, I would have probably just found an encounter in the east that I could have abused to get some quick levels.
Looks like we might have ryin7 here with us. Hello, Ryan.
Hello?
Hey, what's up, man? Yeah, that was, I'm sure from your end, not the outcome you were expecting, but if it's any consolation, it was just a fantastic race to watch. Walk us through that one. If you could go back and do anything differently, what would it be?
Not go to 6 again when I knew it was glove blocked.
Yeah, we did wonder about that.
But you found the glove
I
block?
got in there and I went left and I went, oh.
Yeah.
So you found the glove block and then left and then went back to it before you got the glove? Whoops.
And I didn't find the second Death Mountain entrance till Death Mountain.
Yeah, that was actually kind of...
I think those were kind of the... I mean, there was many other, but those were kind of the two big ones. I think that kind of stick out.
It was kind of heartbreaking to watch because at one point you were no more than a screen away from that Death Mountain entrance and you decided to up A.
Yeah.
It was very painful.
Yeah, I checked that cave to the south and I went, there's nothing over to the west there.
Still a very great race. You guys were fighting Thunderbird at the same time, and you know, of course, 22 seconds apart. You guys know how close you were at the end there. Just a fantastic race.
Yeah, it was fun. Congrats, Xarnax.
Thanks. Yeah, you too. I was definitely worried.
Yeah, you guys should definitely go back and watch the VOD of that one. It was, whew, man, that was.
Oh yeah, I always do. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I think I will. It'll be interesting to see kind of what you did, and I kind of just, you know, since I didn't find that second entrance to DM, and the first one was completely blocked, I did everything but that. And
At what point did you decide you needed to do DM, Ryan? Because it looked like you were kind of looking around for it at one point a little bit, but then maybe gave up on it and you decided to go get the spell item instead. Was that?
Yeah, I was kind of debating whether I wanted to try to find the spell and get that, you know, search around for the second entrance. And kind of like, well, I'm by Mito. I know where Daruni is on the east. You know, I can kind of pick up both spells on the way.
Yeah.
So.
Unfortunately, it didn't pay off for you. You guys, Xarnax, I guess you basically did. I guess 6 is the only item you guys didn't pick up in this whole seed.
And 5.
Oh yeah, Xarnax didn't get 5, but Ryan actually did get the item out of 5.
So yeah, I would have a question about that for Ryan. So the first palace you actually went into and full cleared was 5. Did you feel like, hey, this is a gamble, I'm going to look for glove in here, if it's in here I'm in good shape? Or what was your thoughts going into 5 first?
Yeah, kind of. I probably shouldn't do. I got pretty mixed up and I wasted a lot of time in there. But, you know, with the old like 2.0 or 2 logic, a lot of times glove was in 5. And
yeah.
I always hate digging 5. And so I was like, yeah, you know what? Might as well jump in.
I was going to say you've just been listening to Larry too much.
Larry guy. Yeah, my levels were kind of so low, I had to cheese Guma a bit there, and luckily he kind of cooperated somewhat. I think he killed me 2 times, but
Yeah, that was another exciting fight because you were down to your last hit, and that was a long Guma fight that you managed to pull out there.
Yeah,
Oh,
five
man.
five took up quite a bit of time there.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, five always seems to kind of drain you.
I think I had 4 game overs to Guma.
I think that's right. Yeah, I think that's right.
Oh wow.
And each one costs you what, at least 3 or 4 minutes just to get back.
Yeah, the walk could have been a lot worse.
It could have been.
It wasn't terrible, but
Thankfully for you, it wasn't, because you did not have a lot of wiggle at the end of this race.
yeah. Yeah, I'm curious. If it had been longer, I may have done something different.
It was actually really interesting going into Great Palace because Ryan's attack level, like, you had attack 7, you only had attack 5, and then your levels were the same otherwise. So I feel like maybe had that been a longer GP might have played a factor. But it was definitely the shortest Great Palace we've seen in this tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of nice and quick there.
Well, I think
Alrighty.
that's about going to wrap it up for us. Is there anything you guys want to say to your adoring fans?
Stay away from Guma.
Yeah, stay away from Guma. Find the glove.
Just practice more.
Yeah.
Yeah, practice more.
Yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for the rehost and the commentary.
Yeah, thank you, Dig Shake, for jumping
Yes,
in
thank
here.
you for the restream. Kind of on short notice. I know me and Xarnax were kind of talking. It was just kind of like, whatever. And I was like, hey, you know what? How about tomorrow?
Yeah, it's all good.
So thanks for picking it up. And
Absolutely.
Well, all right, that'll do it for this race right here. Be sure to tune in to Angry Larry's stream at midnight tonight. I got another race for you between Dig Shake and Jackamus. And I'll go ahead and host somebody else up. And thanks for watching, everybody. And be sure to tune in to more tournament races.